In this gathering tonight, Mr Abbott, what people want to hear is, where are you going to cut? Which jobs? Which services? Which schools are going to be cut by you? Because that's what you're committed to. And I think we need to have a few answers, because you're way ahead in the polls. You are likely to be elected Prime Minister if there was an election today. And I think people have a right to know where the cuts are going to fall.
OK, I'll give you a chance because there was a question there.
Well, look, thanks, David, and thanks, Mr Rudd. Can I please ask you to stop telling fibs? I did not cut $1 billion out of public hospital funding. I did not. While I was the Health Minister, public hospital funding went up from under $8 billion a year to close to $10 billion a year. Now, at one stage, under my predecessor, there was an adjustment to the forward estimates. It slowed down the rate of increase. It never involved
which you then implemented.
It never involved a cut.
Why do we need a new, inequitable maternity leave scheme when the majority of working Australians will never earn an annual wage of $75,000, which is the amount some women will receive for just 6 months of maternity leave?
How many women in the room here are earning $150,000? Just wave at me. Not a lot.
They may not be wanting to disclose.
Well, no,
their
I understand,
salaries,
but I just think it's worthwhile just to get a sense of where people stand in the room, because we regard this as unfair and unaffordable.
My scheme will utilise the money that's been put aside for your scheme, plus it will have further funding that comes to it from the company tax levy and from other schemes that will no longer need to continue.
But, Mr Abbott, that just doesn't add up. You don't get to $5.5 billion that way.
I'm sorry, the Parliamentary Budget Office disagrees with you.
All right,
but I've just one final point on
very
this.
quickly.
Very does this guy ever shut up?
We're having a discussion, mate. We're having a discussion. And that is the standard debating technique when the questions get a bit sharp. And here it is. If you say under your scheme, this is a really important point in this election campaign. If you say under your scheme that someone who is a bloke earning $1 million, he's entitled to 2 weeks of this leave pay as well. So someone's earning $1 million. Does he get paid out of your scheme for the 2 weeks of parental leave that he takes? And if so, how much? I think it's a very basic equity question.
OK, I want to keep moving on. Do you want to answer that one, Mr Abbott, or does the millionaire bloke get 2 weeks?
It's capped. It's capped at the level of $75,000.
In other words, he gets something out of the $75,000 if you're on $1 million.
Let's get on to our next question, please.
And your public servants, when they're on their paid parental leave, whether they're earning $500,000 or $250,000 or $50,000, they all get paid at that rate.
OK.
How does your government propose to address and be accountable for some of these pertinent environmental issues, including the loss of the Great Barrier Reef, in particular with regards to viewing environmental protection and quality of protected places as a serious issue and not just lip service?
We believe that the best way to act on climate change is to work globally. That's why the first action of the government, which I led in 2007, was to ratify Kyoto. The second thing, which we believe was absolutely necessary, was to have a mandatory renewable energy target of 20% by 2020, so that you can actually create certainty for renewable energy companies that they're going to have an environment in which they can grow and then bring emissions down. And thirdly, you can't walk away from a price on carbon. The rest of the world, including China, is moving in that direction as well.
I hate to carp. Mr Rudd has just said that you can't walk away from a price on carbon. But that's precisely what you did, Kevin, in April of 2010. You walked away from a price on carbon. It's one of the reasons why you lost the Prime Ministership.
Tony, you voted it down twice in the Senate. That's why it didn't happen.
And you dumped
it
as your policy.
You voted it down twice in the Senate. It was gone.
That
is just an extraordinary proposition. You and the Greens hopped into bed and killed the emissions trading scheme.
Prime Minister, you could have put it to a double dissolution, and you didn't.
My question is, if over time community attitudes towards gay marriage soften, what will be your party responses?
I take a conservative position on it myself. I think that we should not lightly change something which has been this way since time immemorial. But I don't believe that I can necessarily impose my view on society for all time. All I can do is candidly and honestly tell people what my view is. I support the traditional definition of marriage as between a man and a woman. Now, I know that others dispute this because I have lots of arguments inside my own family on this subject now. But my position, it's always been clear, it's always been consistent, and as long as I'm in the Parliament, if the issue comes up, that's the way I will vote.
My one question, though, for Tony for the future is, when this matter comes back, and your specific question is what action is to be taken, what I've said is if the government's returned, then there will be legislation before the House. That legislation will not pass unless, or have any prospect of passing, unless the Liberal Party is granted a conscience vote on this question. At present, that's not the case. In the Labor Party, we do. If it's to fully reflect, therefore, the whole community, everyone should be free to stick their hand up one way or the other. That way we do reflect our communities and our private positions of conscience.
We'll be back same time next week with a People's Forum like this taking place at Rooty Hill in Sydney's West. Tony Abbott has agreed to take part. Prime Minister, we hope you will be there as well. But for now, as we invite you both to shake hands one more time, we'll say good night. Thank you.